Hello, I'm Catherine Maguire. Welcome to the Soul Alchemist Podcast. Thanks for joining me today. It's my intention with these podcasts to share ideas and inspiration with you that will help you remember who you truly are and connect to your inner goal. So today I want to share a story with you, a personal story. Last week I was sharing about how, when we're facing a challenge in life, if we can think about it in relation to being tempered, so that our inner gold is being tempered, we're being heated up. It's a container. The challenge is a container for kind of the impurities to rise up, whether that's a belief system, a behavior pattern, something we don't need anymore, so it can be sloughed off and we can connect to our gold. So I want to share a story with you about when I was tempered, in the hope that it might inspire you, in the hope that it might just give you some context for this incredible journey that we're all on called life. So about 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago, I was doing my shamanic practitioner's training. And I was in the north direction of the medicine wheel. So the medicine wheel is a process whereby you learn shamanic techniques that you can share with clients, but also where you do your own healing work. And I was in the north direction, and the north direction is about the hummingbird. It's about connecting with the sweetness of life. It's about taking an epic journey. It's about, whether that's an epic journey in regard to a physical journey or starting a new career or a new relationship, but doing something that's a stretch, but doing it in a way that brings sweetness. So if you're someone, as I was at the time and have been over the years, who's used to doing things the hard way, taking the hard path, hummingbird is about drinking from the nectar, doing it sweetly, finding the joy in life. And it's also about connecting to the ancestors, your birth lineage ancestors, but also your spiritual lineage. So that's the work I was doing in the north of the medicine wheel. And before I went into this training, I had what I thought was inspiration, intuition, whatever you want to call it, that after the training, I would take myself off to Arizona to meet the Navajo. I was going to go to Canyon de Chelly, which is a sacred site of the Navajo. It's been, where the Pueblo Indians lived. It's a really beautiful place. And I'd seen it, and something about it really called me. And I thought, okay, that's where I'm going to go. And so one of the women I was training with said to me, I know one of the grandmothers of the Navajo, one of the elders. So I'll give you her details. When you get there, look her up. She'll help you out. So off I went with my previous partner and got to the Navajo lands and got to Canyon de Chelly. And I was so excited. I was like, oh, here I am, shaman in training. They're just going to see me and recognize me and all this medicine I have inside, and it's going to be amazing. So we checked into where we were staying, met with a guide. I'd arranged with a guide to show us around, show us different things. And then one of the days I was going to go off and meet this grandmother. Got there, myself and the guide, from the very first second we met, my Navajo guide, we just didn't get on. We just clashed. The Navajo guide, however, really got on with my ex-partner, Derek, who was only in Arizona because this is where I decided to go. So this was going to be his holiday. This was my spiritual pilgrimage. He just went there because he thought, okay, this will be fun. And himself and the Navajo guide got on really well, which pissed me off. And then I went to look for the grandmother who'd gone walkabout. Nobody knew where she was. Nobody knew when she was coming back. So here I was at Canyon de Chelly, feeling a bit discombobulated. But I thought, okay, well, I'm here anyway. I'm just going to give myself to it. So we were there for a few days, and every day just got worse. Every day, myself and the guide just seemed to get further and further from each other, couldn't connect. This massive spiritual experience that I thought I was going to have and feel by being there didn't occur. Meanwhile, Derek's having the best time, having the absolute best time. And I'm getting more annoyed. I'm getting more frustrated. I'm getting more irritated. I'm getting more upset. And then on the last day, we were down in the canyon. The guide was showing us around. As I started to come up out of the canyon, I could feel something on my leg, like something that, like I gotten an insect bite, and it started to itch. And I didn't think too much about it because it was our last morning. We needed to go back to the hotel, check out, and get on the road because we were going to Sedona. But as we were traveling, as we were driving to Sedona that day, my legs started to get itchier and itchier and itchier and really angry and red. So by the time I got to Sedona, imagine my left thigh, it was like, the best way I can describe it is imagine a side plate, or if you're American, like a salad plate in size. That was like the swelling on my thigh. It was red, 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 hard, really hard, with this little bit of kind of amber liquid coming out of it that would solidify. And it was so itchy. Oh my good God, the itch. The itch that I just couldn't think of anything else under the itch other than the itch. It was so itchy. So we got to Sedona, checked into our hotel, and the first thing I did was I went to the pharmacy and I said to the lady in the pharmacy, "Hi, can you help me? Something has bitten me. I seem to have had a reaction to it. Can you just give me some cream or something, some kind of antihistamine or something that will sort this out?" And she took a look at my leg and she went, "Honey, you don't need a cream. You need a doctor." And I was like, "I'm not going to a doctor. The doctor will cost me a fortune in America." And she's like, "No, it's okay. There's a tourist clinic just up the road. Just go. It's $80, flat fee. Off you go." So I went to the doctor, filled out the forms, got seen by a doctor, and he took a look at my leg. And the first thing he said to me was, "Well, you haven't been bitten by a black widow or you'd be dead. And you haven't been bitten by a brown widow because the skin would have atrophied." And at this point, I'm starting to lose my mind going, what the hell? What the hell? And I can't even remember because I got so worked up about it, what he told me he thought I'd been bitten by. But he said to me, "I'm going to give you a shot and it'll calm it all down." And I was like, "Just give me the shot. Anything that will help the itch, that will help me calm down. Just give me the shot." I didn't even ask what was in the shot. So he gave me a shot. I paid my $80 and I left. And sure enough, that evening, the whole thing started to calm down. The redness started to calm down. The itching started to calm down. The swelling started to calm down. And the next morning when I woke up, it had gone down quite a bit and the itching was gone. Now I had a new itch because it turns out there must have been an antibiotic in the shot. And if you know, you know, because many years before in Ireland, I'd gotten a kidney infection and taking an antibiotic. The doctor gave me an antibiotic and it gave me the worst case of thrush. So my leg's not itching anymore, but I woke up with some incredible thrush that has a whole new itch going on. I'm like, what the hell? What the absolute hell is going on? Off I go back to the pharmacy. "Hi, honey, did you get the doctor?" "Yes, I did. Thank you very much. He gave me a shot. There must be an antibiotic in it because I've had a reaction." She's going, "Oh, okay." Said it happened to me once in Ireland. They gave me this cream and it sorted it all out. And I told her the brand and the whole thing. She's like, "No, I don't have that, but we have this." And she gave me a tube of cream and kind of a pessary to insert. I went, "Okay, thanks. Thanks very much." Went back in the bathroom, putting the cream in the pessary, going, "Wow, that's an interesting color." It kind of had this opaline texture, I would say, kind of like almost this synthetic-y blues and pinks and stuff, whereas the cream in Ireland was just a plain white cream. I went, "Oh, that's interesting, bit strange." Didn't think about it too much because I just wanted this second round of itching to stop. So insert the pessary, put in the cream, and about 3 seconds later, my whole insides are on fire. So whatever was in the cream, my body's now having a reaction to the cream. It's itchy, it's on fire. It's right inside of my being and my core. And I think I'm going to lose my mind. So I get in the bath, I put cold water in the bath, I try to cool everything down, try to get as much of the cream out, and I just start to cry. It's like, what the absolute hell? What the absolute hell is going on? The leg, my insides, my vagina, what the absolute hell is going on? I was coming here for this spiritual experience and it's just a mess. It's just a mess. I'm a mess. I cry and I cry and I cry myself out. And eventually everything calms down. And I kind of decide to take myself off to clear my head. So I go on out and I end up outside a church. At this point, I hadn't been in church in a long time. In fact, I was very anti-church. I grew up in Ireland and I had I think as a lot of Irish people do, complex relationship with the Catholic Church. And I'd left the Catholic Church at that point. But I'm outside this church and it was beautiful. It was a modern church. So it was made to fit in with the landscape. And if you've ever been to Arizona and if you've ever been to Sedona, the landscape is this amazing red rock. And in Sedona, there's these beautiful pine trees of this blue-green color. So you have the red rock and the blue-green of the pine. It's exquisite, really exquisite. And the church was made to fit in with that so it didn't distract from the landscape. And I just walked into this church and it was really simple inside, really, really simple. And there was no stained glass, clear glass, because through the glass you could see the landscape, and the landscape was the majesty. The landscape was the beauty. The landscape was the art, the artistry, this red and blue-green and the pines and the rock. And I went in and I knelt in a pew. And on my knees, I had a good old rant with God going, what the absolute hell is going on? I really thought I was supposed to come here. I really thought I was supposed to go to Canyon de Chelly. I really thought I was supposed to meet with the Navajo and connect with my, ancestor, spiritual lineage and all this stuff, what the hell is going on? I'm in bits. And then really clearly, a voice spoke to me. And it said this: go home. Everything you need is at home. And I knew what it meant. So that's what I did. We packed up our stuff and we went back to Ireland. And I went back to the land from where I'd come, my dad's farm on the east coast of Ireland, a place I was quite happy to leave when I was 18 years old. I went to the city. I went to get away. I went to get, away from the city, away from small town, small village, not good enough being from the farm life. And I sat out in the field and I lit a little ceremonial fire and I opened the directions and started to pray. Humbled and beaten and feeling very sorry for myself. And then I understood. I understood the lineage and the ancestry that is the land of Ireland. I understood the wisdom that the land held. I understood how that land shaped me and formed me and made me who I was. Even though I'd run away from it, even though I'd felt I wasn't good enough. And I understood, because as an Irish woman and that disconnection from our traditions and our ways of being, that I'd run so far outside of myself to find a way home. I'd run all the way to Arizona, hoping to connect to something outside of myself. But it was there all along. And when I understood that, I then remembered the part of me that was me, the part of me that was Irish and an Irish woman on the lands of my ancestors. My dad's land, that was my grandfather's lands, that was the land of the people before him. And what that meant and how that had shaped me. And I let go of that feeling of not good enough. I went to school in town. And when we went to school in town, we were the culchies. We were the country people. We were never good enough. We were always kind of like less than. And I took that and gone out into the world in that. So I reclaimed that. I reclaimed that part of myself that was a country girl. I reclaimed that part of myself that was enough and remembered my gold was inside me. It had always been inside me. So as much as I had to go home to the land of my family, of my ancestors, what I really had to go home to was the gold within myself. Go home. Everything you need is at home. So that's what I offer you today. I offer you the story of me being tempered. But more than that, I offer you an invitation. Where do you need to go home? Where maybe are you running away from your own gold? And where maybe are you looking for that gold somewhere else? Go home. Everything you need is at home. Claim your gold and remember who you are. Have a beautiful week. Sending so much love from my heart to yours as we take this journey of reclamation together. All my love. Aho.